Hey, how important are the lights when you shoot your videos? It looks pretty important to me. My name is Kellerman. This video will be all about lighting and how you can turn something like this into something more like this. But let's not rush it. This will be a step-by-step lighting tutorial. After you watch this video, you will know what lights I'm using, how to position the different lights, and why. Let's get started. I want to have as much control as possible over the light, so let's start by making it as dark as possible. Oh, nice, now it's dark, and that is a perfect start. Now we need to add a light, a main light. That main light is called the key light. So let's turn on my key light so we can see what it looks like. My key light is a Nanlite Forza 200, but honestly, you can use a much more simple light. Even a flashlight would do pretty much the same. Whoa! That was a little bit too bright, but yeah, let's turn down the power of that key light. Okay, so now I turn down the key light to just 8%. But the light is still very hard and not pleasant at all. But how come? I mean, this is a light worth $600. Well, the reason is that the light source is very small, it's not bigger than this. If you put up a material in front of the light, that material is acting as a diffuser that spreads out the light over a lot bigger surface. So let's put on the diffuser on my key light so we can see the difference. Also, I would like to isolate the light as much as possible for the subject and not spill out over the rest of the room. That's why I also have a black grid added to my key light. Here's a 90 centimeters parabolic softbox from Nanlite. So in here, this material is the diffuser, and this is the grid that prevents the light from spreading out to the sides. Whoa, that made an incredible difference. But Mats, why do you look so yellow? Color has temperature. The temperature is referring to the shade of the light and is measured in Kelvin. Daylight is usually considered to have the light temperature of 5600 Kelvin. And now the confusing part. A lower Kelvin temperature is a warmer light, and a higher Kelvin temperature is a colder light. So what I do is that I set the white balance in my camera, which is a Sony a7S III, to 5600 Kelvin, because my Forza 200 key light gives a 5600 Kelvin light. Oh, perfect! So now the color temperature of the light matches the setting of the camera. But still, it doesn't look so good, right? And that is because the light source is just behind the camera. So let's move the key light so it's about 35 to 45 degrees angle from the subject. That made a big difference as well. Now we managed to create some depth in the shot thanks to the shadows that are introduced on this side of my face. But this side of my face is suddenly a lot brighter compared to before. That is because the light is now a lot closer to me. Now it's about, let's see. Now it's about 65 centimeters away from my face compared to about 90 centimeters away that it was before when the light was behind the camera. And because the light is now a lot closer to my face, we're also getting a higher concentration of light on my face. So to deal with that, we have to turn down the power of the light again. Like that. Now I turn down the power of the light to just 4%, and we are getting the exposure that we are looking for. Conclusion: a closer, big source of light with a lower light output gives us less light contamination into the rest of the room, but it still lights up the subject the way we want. Think about the sun for a second. From where is the sun usually shining? Well, from above. And that is how we are used to see each other. So now we have this key light at about 45-degree angle to the side and 45-degree angle up. Depending on the look you're after, I would say that you should have this light between somewhere 45-degree angle and 90-degree angle, where a 90-degree angle will give you a really dramatic look that you can see on an interrogation on a movie, for example. Now the shadow side of this subject's face, like my face, is pretty dark. For that I would like to have a fill light. A fill light is used to fill and lighten the shadow side. The fill light should have a lower brightness level than the key light, so it lightens up the shadows until we have the light shadow balance that we're looking for. I like to have some shadow left so you still have this depth in my face. So now the fill light is added and I hope you can see the difference. And there was one more thing that actually happened, but let's talk about that at the end of this video. I hope you can see that there is less shadow now on this side of my face, especially if I hold my hands here. But to be honest, I have recorded many videos without this fill light, so I've only been using this key light. So let me show you how fancy I've solved that fill light. I simply took a Nanlite Pavotube 6C, set it to 5600 Kelvin and 15% brightness. And to avoid light to spill to the rest of the room, I simply put up some gaff tape that could act like a barn door on that light. Don't make it more difficult than necessary. So what's next? Well, Mats, the background obviously. I know, but before we start with the background, there is one more light that we should add. The rim light. A rim light is used to illuminate the contour of the subject. To be able to do that, the rim light needs to be placed behind, above the subject on the shadow side. The rim light will help us to even more separate me, the subject, from the background, which will create more depth to the image. So for the rim light, I used another Nanlite Pavotube 6C and I attached it to the Manfrotto auto pole that I have attached between my walls. To be able to mount the Pavotube, I attached a super clamp to the auto pole. Then I attached an articulated arm to the super clamp, and then I attached another super clamp at the end of that articulated arm. You can never have too many super clamps and articulated arms. They are so useful. So now it's time to put up a rim light into this contraption in the ceiling. And for that I'm going to use another Nanlite Pavotube 6C, the same as I used for my fill light. So let's turn it on. So this is set to 10% brightness level. The hue is 200 and the saturation is 99. And the same as for the fill light, it spreads the light very wide. So we're gonna put barn doors with tape on this light as well. Like that. Now we have narrowed down this light also. So let's put it up in the ceiling. Like that. Now we have the rim light in place, and as you can see we have this nice halo effect, and you can see the shoulder here and the hair. And now it's time for the nice lights. The lights that are actually going to lit up the background, they're going to make it look great and stand out. And those are called ambiance lights or practicals. And the practical lights, those are, they are in the frame, so you're going to see them. And they just create this depth and this nice feeling that you're after. So let's go through what I have and let's turn them on one by one so we can see what's going on and how that affects this image. This shelf in the back here, I have 3 strip lights from Philips Hue. One on the top shelf, one in the middle shelf, and one underneath. Let's turn them on so you can see what they look like. So here's the one for the floor. And then we have one on the middle shelf. And then we have on the top shelf. But just these 3 lights create a lot more interesting scene. We have more lights. We have one light here. We have this standing light here. And we also have this one on the table here. And those ones are BC7 lights from Aputure. And those ones are RGB light bulbs that can be run either in the socket or by battery. And that is an internal battery, so you don't need to plug in anything else, and it charges when you have it inserted in the socket. First we turn on this metal lamp over here. And then we turn on this wooden lamp that we have here. And then we have this little table light. And under this chair that we have here, we actually have a Philips Hue Play. Let's turn that one on. So then we're getting a blue light coming up here. And we're getting a little purple light here on the wall. On this side, I have another Nanlite Pavotube. This is the Pavotube 15C. and I have that one set to purple. And then it's still pretty dark on top of this shelf, so I have another Pavotube. This is the Pavotube 30C. This is the longest one they have. The same color that I have in the rest of the shelf. So now we're getting this nice glow all over the background. Then if I would like to spice it up even a little bit more, I have another Nanlite Pavotube over here. This is a small Pavotube 2.6C again, and I have this one set to blue light. So that's it for the background. Then I also have the monitor that I have here. So then I have my logo here that kind of wraps up everything. There was one more thing at 5:34 in this video, and there was one more thing that actually happened, but let's talk about that at the end of this video. If you don't believe me, I actually changed my t-shirt. Go back and take a look again if you don't believe me. And that's all for this tutorial, this lighting tutorial. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Over and out from Sweden. Bye.